Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, I'm going to answer some YouTube questions. Now, you might be saying, well, Steve, where are you at? The background does not look familiar. If some of you have been on my channel since 2019, there was, unless I'm on a vacation or something, there was only one other time that I had did a video from a hotel room, and the reason why I did it at that time was because my wife was in the hospital. She had got her transplant, double lung transplant. Well, as of this past Thursday, a few days ago, a couple of days ago, my wife was put back into the hospital. She had caught a intestinal virus, and she just could not hold any food down. It was just very bad, and she was very drained, and she had went probably 3 good days of not eating anything and not being able to hold down anything. And her doctor said, you got to get her in, and it's a long way from our house because we had to take her to the transplant hospital to get stuff taken care of. But she is good, and I appreciate everyone who always gives well wishes. She is good. You know, she's good. So now let's get into some stuff. And you might be saying, well, why am I making this video? And I want to tell you a quick story real quick. Number one, I make the videos to help you. I make the videos to help you. There are certain questions that people will ask, and I believe that if I answer those questions, it'll help you out, because most of the time people have the same question. It just might be asked a different way. Or when I answer those questions, it'll help you out with your credit and debt situation. So even if it's not exactly, you don't have that specific issue, the same type of solution that I would give would help you with your credit and your debt. But another thing is how I'm able to separate, and I want this to be a lesson for you about separating your feelings. Not that you shouldn't have feelings, not that you shouldn't have emotions, but one of the things that I think that has helped me be able to move forward in my life, not just with business, is that I can separate things. When you can truly separate things, it helps you be able to get a lot of stuff done. Like, there's some people who will just shut down. With what I just experienced with my wife, and then like what happened 5 years ago, having to just drop her off at the hospital because COVID was going on. I couldn't even go in. Like, it could be the last time that I was going to see her. She could barely breathe. She barely made it when they made the call for us to get to the hospital. Like, she barely made it to the place. And but when I've just learned to, like, when something happens, that happens, and I don't let it stop me from doing other things that I need to get done. And if you look back at things that have happened to you, you would probably say the same thing. Yes, that happened, but what did I do with that space that I could have done something with to help somebody? And that's what I'm doing here. And like one of my clients that pays me a lot of money for marketing, I help him with his marketing, his company. I mean, this guy can pay upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And when he found out that my wife's in the hospital, he was like, why? Sorry about that. He was like, why are you still doing the work? And I said, I'm not doing the work for you. I mean, you might think I'm doing it for you. You are important to me as a client, but I'm doing the work because it's my responsibility. And I'm doing with the time that I have available, that I would just, what am I going to do? Just sit there and do nothing? I'm going to take care of that. So it doesn't matter if you're paying me $10,000, $20,000 a month, or $500. It's not going to matter. If it was something that you needed me, that I could work on at that time, I'm going to work on it. Just like right now, answering these questions. I'm answering these questions and nobody's paying me anything. Not paying me nothing. I'm just answering these questions. And so let's start off with the first one. It was in the live chat. And if you ever have any questions, you can go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com, and you can go into the live chat if you want to ask a question without putting it on YouTube to let everybody know about your business. But in this one here, I won't mention any names, but this young man car got repossessed, and they're taking money. The dealer said, they sent the letter saying that they're going to deduct money from his mom's paycheck for the vehicle. Now, let's break that down. What does that mean? What does that mean? Answer the question. Come on, answer. Come on, fast, fast, fast. You've been watching my videos. What does that mean? When you hear a statement like that, that meant that his mom co-signed for the vehicle. I've always said, be careful. I say don't co-sign for anybody. I don't care how much you love them. Don't co-sign for them. But it is what it is with this one. So the reason why they're going to come after the person who co-signed, who isn't even driving the vehicle, who doesn't even have the benefit of the vehicle, they're going to come after them because they're the one that has the money. Like you always wonder, and until something like this happens, and you go and you look at the documents, you will see that the mom or whoever co-signs is going to be the top person who signs. So you think that your mom is co-signing. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter that your mom is co-signing on which line, because regardless if she was the second person, they would have came after her too. But the way that they do this, people not paying attention, and if you decide to co-sign, you just decide to co-sign, and you know the repercussions if the person doesn't pay. But what they do is actually for the loan is that the person on the top, which would be in this case the mom, is actually really who made the whole loan go through. In a way, it's like giving the son a trade line for nothing. You know, you love your child and you do something for them. It's like giving them a chance to make payment history, piggybacking off of your credit. So all of the people who try to say trade lines and doing all of this type of stuff is no good. Well, this here, when you co-sign for somebody, they are actually piggybacking off of your credit. So don't listen to nobody that talks about, oh, you shouldn't be piggybacking off of credit and all of that stuff. When you co-sign, you're piggybacking off of someone's credit, and you're expected to make the payments, but you're piggybacking. So let's talk about the solution. When you have a repossession, for anyone, when you have a repossession, they first must take possession of the vehicle. If they might repo it, you might turn it in, whichever way. And then also, just so you know, it does not matter if you do a voluntary repo. Some people get fooled and they're like, I gave the car back. You gave the car back. That just made it easier for them. They didn't have to go pay a tow truck company to come get it. So when you get your statement that says the fees on getting the vehicle, it should be very little. It might be something to clean up the vehicle when they take it through the auction. So first thing is that if you give it back, or if they come and take the vehicle, they're going to have a fee on there, and then they're going to sell the car at auction. There's, in certain states, you have a certain period of time that you can reclaim the vehicle. You have to make up all the payments and reclaim. What I've seen companies like Santander, Credit America, Credit Acceptance, what I've seen them do is that they're going to actually still charge off the vehicle. So some people will get their vehicle back and they will be like, the vehicle's charged off and I'm making payments on it. Let me tell you the reason why they do that is because if they end up coming to take the vehicle back, they have that loan as an unsecured, technically an unsecured loan. And you're going to have to end up paying on that unsecured loan because they taken the vehicle away and sold the vehicle and got money from the vehicle. This is just what they're doing. These people are very sneaky, in my opinion. I don't want to, my opinion. I'm not in their office, so I don't want nobody, jumping all over me about that for saying it. But from what I've seen from documents, so if you at least with Santander Credit Acceptance and American Credit Acceptance, with those vehicles, and I think I've seen it with Chrysler too. If you go and reclaim the vehicle, they're going to still put it as a charge off. And you make the payments. You can still pay it off. You'll get the title when you pay it off. But they do that as a hedge on you not paying it. Because if you got repoed once, chances are like it's very high that it's going to get repoed again. So step number one, they're going to sell it at auction. You have to get an auction statement, and then you have to pay the deficiency amount, the deficiency balance. What is a deficiency balance on a repo? That's the amount minus what the car sold at auction and minus any fees that were attached to that. They can do all types of fees on there. You'll see it if you ever got one of those statements. Now, what you need to be aware of is that some of the times I've seen it in just a few cases where the vehicle sold for more than what it was owed. If you got a nice vehicle, one that keeps its value even at auction, or maybe you had paid it down a lot, and then still when they went to go sell it, it could sell for a pretty good amount. I've seen them sell vehicles for pretty good penny when they put them back on the lot. Now, depending on your state, if they sell it on the lot to another person, depending on your state, you got to look up your local laws. You may not have to pay anything or you may only have to pay the fees, but that's state by state with that. In most cases, they're going to sell it at auction, even if they sell it due to deficiency and take it to themselves. I've only seen those, little car lots, so, take it back and then go and resell it and try to come after you for the money. They'll do that. So you get that auction statement, and then in this situation, they're going to garnish the mother. So right now, man to man, what you got to do, young man, is you either got to contact that company and say, let me make the payments every month as long as they're coming out. Don't take it from my mom's paycheck. You got to stand up. She stood up for you and co-signed it. Now it's your time to go stand up for her. You can make that payment. Even if you got to, right now, you don't have to pay the amount that you couldn't afford to pay with the repo. Right now, you could just make a deal to pay an amount that you can afford, that you can stick to, so they don't go into your mom's paycheck. So she don't have to go through that at her job. She sacrificed for you to get the vehicle. Now it's your turn to do that in turn with her. Now, but you still, no matter what, you got to check all of that stuff out. If they're not willing to do it through you because they say like, hey, you didn't make your payments, you got to look at their side too. Then you just got to make sure that you pay your mom. And then you get with your mom and you have your mom make an offer to them for an amount that they would be okay with taking. And in that way, she would be able to move forward comfortably. So I'm going to submit this one here. That was on the live chat. Let's see what another question we got here. Got a lot of people getting sued by LVN fee. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cases. 6 cases. LVNV funding. Who is the other one that we got here? Let's see. Debt settlement on one. Someone here. Another one. Man, there's a whole bunch of them with the third-party debt collectors. If you have a third-party debt collector suing you in court, now, one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen a lot of people make is they're like, hey, I never did business with this third party, so I'm going to send them a debt validation. You're doing the right thing, but you're doing it the wrong way. If you have a third party debt collector suing you in court, you need to respond to the debt summons, the summons from court, and you put your debt validation within there. Now, there's some companies out there that are making, telling people how to respond to court summons, and they're saying, just deny everything and all of this stuff. And I'm just telling you, you deny everything. That's your quickest way to getting a judgment. I don't care what they say. I do this. I don't just make videos on this. We've helped people. You can go to my website and see people who have won big time cases because of the way that we've assisted them with making their response. Because no matter what, when you're dealing with a third-party debt collectors, that you have a right to make them prove how they came up with that amount. It is not just about giving a couple of statements. Yes, according to the Supreme Court, reason why they get away with it all the time, because all they need is a couple of statements and your information and how they got the debt. But you have to challenge all of that stuff. If you don't challenge it, then you're just going to let them run over you. You can go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. Just follow the yellow buttons, follow the yellow brick road, or below this video, my debt collector, the court summons defense. I have a do-it-yourself program, or you can have us do it for you. Link is below this video here. And if you don't, if it's a third-party debt collector,
new visitor,
you could just go ahead and just pay and get it done. If it's a original creditor, you should let us review it. So go to the website, go to the live chat, upload it for review. Now, let's talk about the two solutions. And this comes to what your mindset is for dealing with this. If you are of the temperament that you want to go into court and fight it, then you need to have a summons response and go fight it. If you are not of the temperament to want to go into court, regardless if you have all of the stuff in your hand, you give it to them and you don't even have to say anything. You just have to wait for them to either say yes or no, or dismiss in your favor or judgment in their favor. Some people can't stand the build up on that. Some people just cannot stand it. So if you cannot stand to go into court, even though you have a chance against a third-party debt collector, I understand that. There is no right or wrong. What it is consequences. You don't want those potential consequences. So we can move forward with helping you with a settlement, or you could do it
returning
yourself.
visitor.
If you need help with doing a settlement, discounted settlement, we can help you with that. Go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. In the live chat, send us that summons. We will do a power of attorney, get that over to the court. Get that over to the attorney, try to hold off your case and start working to do some sort of settlement. Some of you may have money where you're just like, hey, okay, if I can deal with this for 25%, 35%, 50%, I'm ready to move on it. Some of you don't have the money. You need to do payment arrangements. Best time to negotiate a payment arrangement is before the court, you get a judgment, and then they say they can do 25% when you could have got away with it for 15 or even 20%. Just a lower amount, because you saving them time from going up in the court. So that's what you would need to do. Now, I got some questions on here about credit repair. I'm gonna take a quick drink here. All right, so for credit repair, someone had asked me, Steve, what is your credit score? My credit score is 834 across the board. It fluctuates, from time to time, depending on how much I use on my credit cards. And I use the main one I use on I have a couple of small ones that I use, but I only use probably about 10% of those in any given month. But I do use on my American Express, I think last month on combined cards was probably over 50 grand. And so when that balance goes up, even though my American Express allows me to charge on each card $500,000 on each of the cards, but American Expresses they don't show it that way on the credit reports. They just show it as debt. So it would be in a way like an installment loan. Like you put on $50,000 worth of debt, and it doesn't say you got 500,000 or you got 450,000 available. It doesn't show it that way on American Express. It just puts the debt amount on there. So it'll fluctuate. So it could go down 30 points because of that. And then it'll jump right back up to that. That is my FICO score, not a Vantage, my FICO score, which is across the board how credit is. Any loans, any lending, any credit cards, that's the ones that they go to. And my FICO score is 834. So someone asked me, okay, how do you get to 834? And I said, and they did say, where did you start? They thinking that I started in like the 700s. No. Over time, I built it up to that score. I didn't even know I had got an 8 34 credit score until I went to go get my RV some years ago, and they had ran the score, and the guy was like, you almost have a perfect score, and he was like, because you almost have a perfect score, you qualify to have 2 extra points taken off of the APR that they were going to charge. And I was like, man, well, number one, thank you for that. I thought that they were already giving me an excellent rate, but they took off 2 more points. But check this out. Let me tell you real quick. When they said that, I'll admit, I did say, is that the best rate that you can get? And they went and one of the finance guys said, do we have a coupon? And I've told this story before. He said, do we got a coupon? The guy said, yeah, we got a coupon because the score is so high. And then they lowered it down 2 points. Now, something else that even happened after that is the company that had the loan that I got the loan from, they lowered it again. So they lowered it when I asked them to lower it in finance when I was signing the documents. And then later, the finance company said that I qualified for a lower score. So I say that because I did not get there overnight. So the first thing that I would tell anyone when you're moving your score, to get up to those scores, is that it doesn't happen overnight. And you can jump to into the 700s by utilizing, number one. So let's just back it up. If you're starting fresh, where first you got to fix your credit. You fix your credit. No, that's like the baseline. That's the foundation. Here's the dirt, and then now you're laying the foundation. That's fixing your credit. I had to fix my credit. Now the next thing is you got to get some stuff on there to start showing history. Back when I did it in the early 2000s, they didn't have these different products like Rent Reporter, put your cell phones on there, all this self-reporting. They kind of had the secured credit cards, because that's kind of been around for a while, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is right now. So they got all of these products. What I would do is to tell people to get a trade line like we talked about earlier with the piggybacking. I don't see nothing wrong with getting a trade line put on there so you can have a history. Just make sure you get a trade line for somebody that's not going to be messing up, because you can actually, that history is going to be on there, and if they're paying their payments late, they're running up balances, that is going to hurt you. But if you get the right ones on there, it's going to work in your favor. Like I've seen scores go up 75 to 130 points depending on what you already have on there. If you got a few things that you're paying and you're paying them on time and your credit is clean, boom, it's going to go up. I have a link below here, or you can go to my live chat. We have some available, very strong, very, very strong. They have done that for our clients, and we'll kind of go over what the terms on with those, because it's kind of changed a little bit with the way that the reporting works, but it's still, when that's put on there, it just jumps. So cleaning up the credit, that's foundation. Doing some things that you could do without getting loans, without spending money on payments, stuff that you're already paying on, that's the next. So now we got the foundation with fixing in your credit, and now we're building on getting the windows and the doors and all of that. That's like some with the rent reporting, self-reporting on any of the apps that you're using that you're paying on every month, your cell phone, get secure credit cards, like any of those. You can go to our website now. I have some blogs on what you could do. Also, just contact us. We always get that information to people and to kind of help them out. So now that you got that foundation on there and you could see where you're at, maybe you got a trade line that jumped you up. Now you have to. It's like that baby step. You gotta take that baby step and get something on there for yourself. And it hopefully it would be an nice unsecured credit card, maybe $1,000, $2,000 available credit line on there, and you utilize it, and don't never let the balance be over 30% when they do the statement date. Remember I talked about how mine will go fluctuate up and down? That's because when the statement date happens, even though I pay it off by the due date, that's why it'll fluctuate, because then when it re-reports, if I didn't utilize that much, it jumps my score all the way back up, because they're like, you just paid 50, your debt is down $50,000. The algorithm is only reading it by what the debt is. It's not looking at it as an open line, like a revolving line of credit where I had that additional that I'm not using. But when you have a regular credit card, it's going to use it that way. And even with a secured card, you can manipulate the algorithm for the credit scoring system with that too. So if you do it with you could have a few of the secured cards on there, still use them the same way, even though it's your money. You got to make those payments and use it the same way, and you only need to be about 30%. And then definitely with a card that is unsecured, on the statement date. The statement date is different than the due date. You'll notice, if you remember from the past, if you've had a card, or if you're new to having a card, you're going to have two things happen. There's a statement date. You'll look at that. You can find that date. That's when they're going to report to the bureaus what balances you have. So even if you're going to pay it off by the statement, but by the due date, it does not matter to the algorithm. It matters for making your payments on time, but it's like you're making your payments on time, but you're getting penalized by the algorithm for having the debt that's over 30% on an unsecured line of credit. So that's what you gotta do now. So now we got everything on, and we're about to put the roof on there, because we got the windows with trade lines, with your own. It's a primary trade line too when you get your own card. That's a primary. It's going to be a primary trade line with any of those self-reporting. All of that stuff's going to be primary, and then you can get an authorized user trade line, what I talked about earlier, where it's kind of piggybacking, where it can put a lot of history, up to 2 years worth of credit history on your reports, to just boom you straight up. And then after that, putting a roof on there, this is the part that a lot of people might not like to hear, but I'm gonna tell it like it is, because it's the way that I got there. Is you got to let time work its way. You got to put in that time. You got to put in that work. I mean, you got to make those payments, because it's going to be that payment history. You got to that's like you putting the seeds in there, and it's just growing. Every time you make that payment, it's just like you put that seed, and then next month you make a payment, and you look back. That's why it looks green on there. You never thought about that. Why is it green on there? Why is it green? Because every payment you put in there is like a seed, and it's going to be green across the board for all those years of payments, and it's like a garden that is growing with your score. So think about it. Payments is putting the seeds in, and then you're going to have all that green, and that's where that's the garden. And guess what grew? Your score grew. So look at that. Think about that. It's going to grow. And so you got to put in that time. So let's talk about some of the things that, some questions that people have when they're dealing with their credit. So first thing when you're trying to repair your credit is you have to look at where you are at. A lot of times when we're trying to help people with their credit, it's like they're afraid, like, I don't want to see what I got. What's on your reports? I don't know. I just know it's bad. Some people say, oh man, I changed my mind. I don't even want to do it, because they just put this feeling of that they can't accomplish something. And it's not because they can't accomplish it. It's because they've never been there yet. They haven't actually been there. It's just like anything that you do. If you haven't never done it before, you're going to have anxiety. You're going to be a little bit afraid. You're going to think that you might not be worthy. All of these things are going to just build up inside of you, even though consciously you want to do it. It's like going on a diet. You want to lose weight. You you get the weight loss program or you get the gym membership and you do all that stuff, but something inside of you after a while makes you turn around and just start slowly not doing the things that need to be done. And so with credit is the same thing. It's just, it's the thing about with credit is that it's more mental than physical. And that's what even makes people people will work out maybe a month, 2 months, or 3 months, because that's physical. Anything with your brain, anything that we do with our brain uses so much energy. When I learned about this, it was like, is that why I can sit there? Like I went and printed this out at the hotel lobby, and I was like, I'm gonna read over this. And then what I had found myself doing when I would read is like I would get kind of sleepy, and I was like, because you're using energy. So the way that you overcome that, let me tell you a secret that I found. Number one, you got to read what you're interested in. But number two, something that I'll do is I'll get me a pen and this here and the highlighter, and I'm going to be engaged with what I'm doing. Just like I'm engaged when I talk to you on YouTube, is that you have to be engaged with anything that you do, and then that'll give you, like, it's in a way, it's like you're putting fuel into your brain to allow you to be able to keep moving and moving and moving forward. So pay attention to that, because when it comes to repairing your credit, if you have been used to living with bad credit, not getting things that you want, paying more for the same things that other people pay less for, not being able to do the things that you want to do because your credit is holding you back, not being able to go and get that house that you and your family deserve, maybe even getting held back from getting a job promotion because your job is checking credit now, and they're saying, if you handle your money that way, we can't have you in this position, because in that position that person has access to resources that deal with money. Like, you just, so it could just make you just get tired, be like, I quit. I just quit. I don't even want to do it. So that's why you have to be very careful. So when you're looking at repairing your credit, think about it. When you're looking at repairing your credit, you gotta give yourself like full energy, be engaged, and you have to live in the now and also think of the future. Because if you always think of the future, you won't never get nothing done now. But if you only think about where you're at now and not have some type of goal for the future, you won't move either. So you have to kind of figure out a way to kind of be in the middle, where like, this is where I want to be. So that excites you, that gets you pumped up, that makes you say, I'm going to stick with it because I see myself as this person with excellent credit. And then you bring yourself back. You say, okay, now, how do I maximize my time right now? And that's the now part. And then we don't look back. So any feelings that come up, remember I told you earlier, like, I'm making this video even though I'm going through this with my wife. Even the feelings that come up, you can say, well, I acknowledge the feelings of failure in the past. I acknowledge that maybe someone didn't even marry you because of your credit. That has happened. Maybe you didn't get the car that you wanted, or maybe you didn't even get the house. Like, you didn't come through for your family to be able to get a house, because it's like, or to get an apartment in a certain neighborhood so your kids can go to a good school. See, what are you going to do with that time? So don't let what happened in the past hold you back from now. Because then if you do that, you're going to just be sitting there. Remember I said that you'll be paralyzed. You don't want to be paralyzed. You want to say, I'll deal with those feelings, and then I'm going to do something now so I can get to this in the future. That's how you have to be thinking. So if you need help with your credit, what I want you to do is I want you to go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com, watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my two-phase settlement process. That's the way that we repair credit. If you need your credit report scores, go to the website, the number 3scores.com, to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports in all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters: cease and desist collection activities letter, debt validation letter, and statute of limitations letter. Use the one that's appropriate for your specific situation. Now, if the statute of limitations letter is for debt that is past the legal statute of limitations for debt collectors or original creditors to collect, and that starts on the last payment date, not from the charge-off date. From the last payment date, look at your state laws. You can go to my website on my blog, type in statute. You can see the statute of limitations. There's a column for open-end accounts like credit cards. Some of the times it's shorter in some states. And then for regular installment type loans. If it's 1 day past, if it's 1 hour past the statute of limitations, you don't owe it, and all you have to do is send them a notification letter. I give you that. There is no debt validation required. Now, for those letters, I do ask for a donation, but it is not required. You're going to get them. It will save you time, money, and a lot of frustration. If you have debt collectors that are suing you, there's a link below this video. If you have a financial and medical hardship or an extreme financial hardship, you might potentially qualify for a 1099-C write-off of all of your debt forgiveness. I was on the phone with someone the other day. They were their home was in the fire in a certain area where, even though it didn't get burned down, it got tore up with smoke. Just couldn't live in the house. They suffered immensely due to that. That would, in my eyes, I mean, it's still up to the company, that the companies that they owe, but they could potentially qualify for 1099-C. All right, thank you for your time. Please like my channel, subscribe to it, post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.